Hey guys, it's Ben. Welcome back to LS1's Garage channel. I was going to make a nice little video about how we actually source parts and get our parts, but due to the J Spec incident, I'm pretty, to say, pissed off about that situation. That really makes me angry. So I'm just going to go full blast on this situation. To be honest, it's really painful to see somebody's car get cut like it was. That's just unimaginable that somebody's going to steal somebody's GTR and then cut it and send it to America. I mean, you have to be, these are non-car people. You have to understand, they are non-car people. They don't care. They just want to fill their pockets, right? It really hits home for me because I've had friends here in Japan whose cars have gotten stolen, and they come to me and say, bro, if you know anybody who's seen this car, if somebody tries to sell it to you. And I mean, every night when I leave my garage, I have to park forklifts in front of the doors and things like that so that the cars that are inside don't disappear, you know. It really makes me angry. It really does. If you don't know about the JSpec situation, apparently, and I'm not saying that they are guilty. It looks pretty bad for them, but I'm not saying that they're guilty. It just looks bad. Apparently, their person that is importing parts for them or exporting from Japan, the backstory here is that a Japanese person whose car was stolen, an EK9, was found on their website. The parts were, he found his own parts on their website, nose cut, everything cut. The car was already cut, you know. And then when you start going through the list of cars, there's a site here in Japan. When you start going through the list of stolen cars, a lot of them are on their website. That's just trash. Those people are trash. I hate those kind of people so much. I'll tell you the way that I feel about it is, if I get a car in here and I don't have to cut it, I don't, right? I love cars more than most, right? So I'm a real car person, so I could never steal a person's car and then chop it. I don't care what it is. Even cars that, you know, all the cars I'm buying are legitimate. Even when I get a legitimate car, I think, man, I cannot cut this car. I gotta find a way to find an owner for this car, right? Sometimes it's inevitable. Sometimes they're rusted. Sometimes documents aren't, you know, they've been recycled or something like that. You can't, there's no way to export them or something like that. You have to do what you have to do. And the way I feel about that is that you sacrifice some cars to save others. You know, somebody in America, their car needs the nose cut or something like that, or the engine, and the car over here is really not that great, you know, so, you know, it can kind of level out. That's how you sleep at night. But for me personally, every car that comes in, the first idea is to ship it out complete. If it's not possible, it's not wanted, well, then use what you can, because I'm American. I'm shipping to America for my own people. If I don't buy it, somebody else is going to buy it for their country, or apparently, you know, some other countries' people are going to buy it and send it to America as well, you know. So I'm all about supporting my own people as far as that goes. Anyway, so this company has been stealing cars and then exporting them to US, and the US company said, well, we don't know anything about it. After some information has come to light, their family member, it looks like, is the person shipping the parts to them. So that's pretty incriminating. That is pretty incriminating. The good thing about living here in Japan is that I can kind of censor all my own stuff. Where do I source my parts from? Well, I've been here for about 10 years, so I normally deal with, in the past I was dealing a lot with the recycle shops. There are no junkyards here because of the space and everything like that. So the recycle shops, they do get good cars in, and they get a lot of parts too. And I've become so connected with them that I'm able to go through their yards and take pictures and do whatever I want. Say, hey, please keep this. I'm coming tomorrow to get the parts, blah, blah, blah. You know, sometimes it doesn't work out. Sometimes I forget to say something and they'll cut the car the next day. I mean, cars come in and the next day they're cut, 2 days after they're cut. During busy season, you have 50 cars come in. They can only cut 20 a day or 30 a day with all their staff. So you can understand how they want to keep the space. Especially in the area that I'm in, there's not that much space. So normally, if I don't go out and source the cars myself, and normally what I do is I just drive down, I go to different locations in Japan, and I drive down city streets, and I see a car that I want, and I try to find the owner right then and there, and You know, they're a little sketched about talking to me at first, but then we get to know each other and, you know, say, hey, do you want to sell this car? And yeah, I'll sell it, you know, something like that. The other way is that I do buy cars from some of these recycle shops. Like I said, they get some really great stuff, and I only deal with the ones that I know. And this is the reason why, because some of the other ones, who knows where those cars come from, right? And a lot of my friends that own these recycle shops, they're buying from auction or reputable people, right? You can get a lot of cars from the dealerships. They bring the car in to trade in, and the owner, you know, been driving old sports car a long time, wants to drive something new, you know, something like that. And then those cars are decommissioned and sent to these places, and they're still good cars, right? And you can buy them from there, and that's a good source. There are people here in Japan who they have a little calling card and they keep them in a rubber seal, and they put them on the windows. And you can, the owner, for example, will come out to his car and there'll be this little piece of paper, and they'll say, okay, well, this person wants to buy my car. I'll call them up and say, hey, you know, how much can you give me for it? There are people who do that. It's a little dangerous, though. Those people sometimes get into some trouble. One way that people do steal cars here in Japan is they keep leaving those cards, and if nobody comes to clean them off, well, they say, well, nobody's watching this car, let me go pick it up. So that's a problem. The other way is that they just have connections like I do. For example, if there's a good yard that they are familiar with, I mean, basically the rule is here you have to work with somebody you trust, somebody you know. And I don't work with new people these days. I've been doing this a long time. I just stick with the people that I know that supply me the good stuff. If it is somebody new, I want the documents all full and legit. I don't want to bring the car and then documents later, something like that. So there is that situation. But it really has gotten me kind of angry about the situation because it's a lot of work to find these cars. It really is a lot of work. And I normally myself don't buy from auction. And the reason why is because there's fees, and a lot of the time I don't have the time to go to the auction house and look through the cars and check them, every car that I want to bid on, and then probably won't even win the car. So I'm also competing with everyone else in the world, not just Japan, in the world, right? So if I want to buy a car and I'm in Tokyo and the car's in Osaka, how can I really check that? Where here, the way I'm doing it, I can go to the car, check it out, see what I want to see, you know, and then be able to buy the car. The one problem with the USS auction, for example, is that a lot of the times the cars 10 years ago they all have inspection sheets, but the cars 10 years ago you can trust that inspection sheet. Nowadays, people are fixing rust with fiberglass and things like that, and then putting it in the auction and saying it's beautiful, no accidents, and who's to know? Who's the wiser? You know, you're paying 20, 30 grand for a car that has fiberglass rust spots. And I'm sure a lot of you either have a friend or it's you who have bought a car from auction in Japan, got it, and then there was way more wrong with it than the auction sheet even said. So that's an issue. So I keep my stuff pretty local. I either do it myself or go to people that I trust, and that's the only way to do it, right? And the people that I trust are people I've known for a long time, and they are, some of the people that are bringing me cars are actually selling to the recycle shops themselves too, which is also another way to trust them, because if the recycle shops are trusting them, then I trust them, right? And you know, you always want to see documentation, receipts, wherever they got it. If they have a car that doesn't have any paperwork or something, say, hey, I want to go with you to the owner's house, blah, blah, blah. And usually that's okay. But anyway, I'm pretty fired up today about this situation. It kind of makes me angry, if you can tell. I don't condone any kind of stealing of cars or cutting of cars. If it's a nice car, even if it's not a nice car, if it has the potential to be a nice car, it doesn't need to be cut, right? It just doesn't need to be cut. I have gotten cars before that, you know, they are lost causes, but man, I have put so much time and so much work into them that someone can buy it and enjoy it, right? That's just the way it should be. The last resort should be to cut the car, right? So when you see R33 GTRs, R34 GTRs, S15 nose clips and things like that, where's the rest of the car? What happened to the car? Why has it been cut like that, you know? I mean, you get cars that there are so many of them that you cannot save them, right? For example, BH Legacy or BE Legacy. My God, I don't know how many of those things they made, but they must have made millions, because at one point there were about 3 or 4 of them coming in a week, at and not just one yard, all of the yards, right? So you have to wonder how many of those things they made. In that situation, you really don't have any choice, you know, or if there's just no demand for the car. But if there is any way to save it, you should. The thing about those kind of cars coming in like that, that's one of those cases where you get what you can to give to your people and then just let the rest of it go. And hopefully someday somebody will come along and say, hey, I need this, you know. That doesn't mean they're cheap, right? It just means that there are abundance, because those engines and things like that are being sent to places like Dubai where they are sold in the masses. So there's that. But anyway, I just wanted to make this this video, and I had planned this video already. This happened to drop right when I was preparing for this video, and it kind of changed my plan for it. Anyhow, you can feel confident in buying things from me. I double, triple check everything that I buy for this example. The problem one also is that it's getting rare for these cars. I mean, you have to think how many S13s were actually made. I mean, Japan is only 160 million people, right? And more than half of them don't even drive. So how many S13 Silvias were actually made to drive around, or EK9 Civic SIRs, those things, right? So the supply is getting very low. So now people are trying to go out and do things to get these cars, steal them and things like that. Yeah, if you can't do this kind of job doing it the right way, you need to do something else. So anyway, I hope this has been an informative video. I will say this, I don't say these kind of things normally, but I think you should buy from American to American. That's the best way to do it. That way, you know, you don't know where your money's going elsewhere. And even if you don't like that, you should buy from a car person, a true car person, to another true car person, right? That's the way it needs to be. So I hope this has helped you. I hope it's been informative. Like and subscribe so I can keep making these videos, and then out.